Another night in the wrestling books for AEW, Dynamite, and NXT. CM Punk makes a huge tease for Daniel Bryan coming to AEW, and Samoa Joe has a huge target on his back as he issues an open challenge to the entire NXT roster. We're going to get into it in tonight's The Debrief. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out! What's up, everyone? Welcome to The Debrief. I'm your host, Jose G, and next to me is the top Chico himself, Rico El Glorioso, and we're here to break down everything you need to know for this week's NXT and AEW. Last week, it was a historic week in professional wrestling as CM Punk made his return to wrestling, and this week, he made his AEW Dynamite debut. Rico, first of all, we haven't spoken since last week because I was away. However, what was your take on CM Punk's return tonight? I mean, there's so much we got to get into, guys. Make sure you are liking the show. Make sure you are subscribing, engage with the show. Subscribe, share tonight's show in your favorite wrestling group. Make sure you tag your friends in the comment section, and also smash that notification bell on our Sportskeeda YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe, smash the notification bell, so that way you never, ever miss a brand new video or exclusive interviews. Right now, we got tons of exclusive stuff from SummerSlam weekend in Las Vegas. I have an interview with Jinder Mahal and Damian Priest that are up. We have a couple other ones with Nikki Cross and Drew McIntyre. So go ahead and check those out on our YouTube channel. Make sure you hit the notification bell and share tonight's show. All right, all the plugs are in, Rico. Yes. CM Punk, what's up? What are your thoughts on this? It's been 7 years in the making. Now that we got him back and he made his debut on tonight on Dynamite, what's going through your mind here?
Goosebumps, man. Like still marking out last Friday, even though, we had talked about it before. Like I had predicted 98% chance that he was actually going to debut, 2% bias because something had always happened. But it felt like it was right. It felt like it was poetically, like all the stars were aligned. Everything was in the right place in order for him to make his return. And the right thing happened because that crowd was so hot for CM Punk that if anything else happened, they would have rioted in Chicago. The next best thing could have been like if MJF wanted to get that even more nuclear heat. Imagine if you heard CM Punk's music and then MJF came out. But thankfully, they didn't do it. They didn't do us wrong. We had CM Punk and just the same elation on his face. It's like the same thing we saw on Edge when he came back at the Royal Rumble and everybody popped huge. Getting to see the same reaction from CM Punk, it still brings me goosebumps, man, because this just shows us that this feels like a second new golden age of wrestling because we have CM Punk coming back. We have, Edge that came back. We have a nice little nudge, nudge, wink, wink to potential having Bryan Danielson making an AEW debut very, very soon if he's to be taken seriously. So everything's great. Everything feels right in the world of professional wrestling. It feels like it's just starting to, this new era is just kicking off on such a high note. But how about you, man? How was your experience in Las Vegas for WWE SummerSlam? How was that?
SummerSlam was great, man. It was a cool experience. A lot of people watching, a lot of coverage, just driving around and just being able to talk with all these superstars. It was a really cool experience. I want to thank Sportskeeda Wrestling for sending us out there. Rico Chino for being a true professional out there and getting all the stuff done. But we just had a really good time over there. But man, CM Punk, I was in Vegas when he debuted, and it was just huge everywhere. And I think tonight in Milwaukee received him with open arms. And tonight, not only he, got a very nice reception in Milwaukee, but he also dropped a tease tonight. Rico, a huge tease.
Yes.
The crowd is chanting yes. He stops in the middle of his promo. He's like, that's some other guy's shtick. But by the way, just be patient.
Just be patient.
What? And the crowd popped for that. Wow. Amazing. Okay. I want to get your thoughts on this because I think this is definitely something, we've been talking about it and reporting on it. Weeks of speculation and rumors that Daniel Bryan is signed with AEW. CM Punk drops a huge tease tonight on live TV. Wow.
Yeah, tell me that Bryan Danielson is coming to AEW without telling me that Bryan Danielson is coming to AEW. That's essentially what CM Punk did. But just like they've been doing with everything for his debut, just spread those little breadcrumbs. Just get people excited, and that's just another one because again, all signs point to him coming to AEW also, and that's just another big breadcrumb on that path to the debut of Daniel Bryan. So Bryan Danielson. So it has to happen. Like at this point, the same thing. Like if CM Punk doesn't debut, we riot. It's gonna have to be the same thing at some point. If we don't get Bryan Danielson, we riot. It feels like that's where it's gonna get to.
Just reading some of your guys' comments across Facebook and on YouTube. TJ Santiago saying Bryan Danielson coming soon. And he also says this is the very best time to be a wrestling fan all across the sport. I completely agree. This is definitely the best time to be a wrestling fan. Sean Smith joining us. You know how he feels about good old AE dubs. CM looked high tonight, no longer straight edge. Okay.
It's the red eyes of tears of joy that were coming in his eyes.
Tears of joy. But overall, man, very nice reception for CM Punk in Milwaukee tonight. But besides CM Punk having a promo, we had some matches go down tonight. Orange Cassidy faced Matt Hardy to open up the show. Orange Cassidy getting a solid win. I enjoyed this match. This match was pretty good. I haven't been really paying too much attention to the HFO and Matt Hardy just because, really doesn't captivate me. But this match was pretty good. I thought with Orange Cassidy trying to hit his version and actually getting his version of the Twist of Fate, I thought that was pretty cool. The opening part of the match where Matt Hardy's going to lead and the crowd's going at it, and then him going with the soft kicks, Orange Cassidy over big time. Matt Hardy, I thought having the rub with Orange Cassidy on there, that's just making Orange Cassidy looking that much better and that much more over with the fans. Overall, I thought it was a good match. Orange Cassidy got that win. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the interaction between Matt Hardy and Orange Cassidy. And of course, even in the subtle things, like when Matt Hardy tried to do the pocket thing, but he came out with like a whole wad of cash. And of course, everyone starts going crazy. And then at one point of the match, like all the money's gone. And Orange Cassidy takes a $100 bill, puts it in his pocket, and attacks Matt Hardy. And then when Matt Hardy has the advantage, he picks up all the money again, and then takes a $100 bill out of Orange Cassidy's pockets and put it in his own.
That was good.
So I thought like all those little things I thought were amazing. And then the fact that Orange Cassidy, he'll wind up winning by pulling on the tights, but it's his own tights because as he had Matt Hardy rolled up, he put his hands in his pocket, which made the pin even deeper, getting the win over the head of the Hardy family office. So I really enjoyed that opening match, and we start seeing more of what the Hardy family office could do because later on, we did have the Bunny try to offer a position to the Hardy family office to Ty Conti because, of course, we knew later on that there's some turmoil happening with the Dark Order. Hopefully they have a new leader coming soon that might help them out. Who knows? But she did offer position to Ty Conti, and, of course, she tore up that contract leading to their match that's going to be happening on Friday. So, Hardy family office is starting to get their hands out there, starting to see what else we can get because, again, it's all about factions right now in AEW. So, unfortunately, the head of the Hardy family office did take the L tonight, but it made Orange Cassidy look that much more fun. And, just
I completely agree. I completely agree. I mean, that guy is big time marketable, and he's going to be around in AEW for a while. The fans absolutely love him. I think he's a perfect fit for AEW. But let's talk a little bit here about Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho had a match last week in his fifth labor of Jericho where he lost against MJF. As a matter of fact, he tapped out to the Salt of the Earth submission. And this week, Jericho challenges MJF yet once again, but this time it is for a final fight at All Out. If Jericho loses, he will no longer compete inside the ring in AEW. He said that just in AEW. He didn't say outside because he could leave AEW and he can come back to WWE. Now that happens, right? However, never say never. But for now, he'll be on commentary if he loses on his match against MJF at All Out. So, do you think this is the final piece that we need, or do you think have you had enough of MJF and Jericho?
They just continue to build on the story every single time they have another match. From when we had the dinner debonair that we had it feels like forever ago with MJF and Chris Jericho up to the rivalry they have now. I think this might be the last time we see Jericho for a long time. I know they've been planning to get a little bit more on the road with Fozzy. And honestly, absence makes the heart go fonder. And we've had quite a bit of a dose of Le Champion. So it might actually help us out, to get some time away, especially with the debuting of CM Punk, potentially one Bryan Danielson, potentially one Wyndham Rotunda. So if all those people do happen to return, it's going to be nice to have Jericho go away for a while and then bring him back. Just imagine that pop you'll get when that Judas song comes on, when, somebody makes an open chat like CM Punk or Bryan Danielson, and here comes Jericho. So I think we should give him some time away. He's been doing a lot. He's been carrying the company on his back for a while. Give him a little break. Let him do his Fozzy thing for a little bit and then bring him back whenever he's ready.
I agree. I think I really think that if Jericho would get a win here, get one win here against MJF, he can ride off into the sunset for a few months and we don't see him for a while and then bring him back. I think that's a smart idea. Although he's really fun on commentary too. And he did mention Rampage, and Rampage is kicking off right now. So they may want to make him kind of like the voice of Rampage. So who knows? We'll see. It's funny because my wife was, kind of hearing in the background. And she's like, is he calling out that douchey guy with the scarf again? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, why? Didn't he just beat him? And I'm like, yes, I know. So, even for the casual fans that really don't pay attention too much of what's going on, are even like, okay, we've had enough of Jericho and MJF. But I'd like to get your guys' take. Put it in the comment section. Do you want more MJF and more Jericho? Is this the last one? Are you fed up with it? Or do you just want more of it? Let us know in the comment section. Sound off right now. Go ahead and tell us. Your comments will be on screen. So make sure you go ahead and sound off your comments on AEW Dynamite. We also had a really good tag team eliminator.
I'm never tired of seeing. We might get a little tired of seeing Jericho. I will never, ever, ever get tired of seeing the Lucha Bros, Rey Fénix and Penta El Cero Miedo, getting the much-deserved win, as I told Kenny was going to happen, over the Varsity Blondes, who was his pick for this tournament. Sorry. But, man, these guys showed out. Like, you got to give props to Brian Pillman Jr., especially because he held his own. And Griff Garrison, but this was their time, man. This was Penta El Cero Miedo and Rey Fénix showed out. It's them going up against Jurassic Express. So the two top tag teams other than the Young Bucks are going to be in the finals of this tag team eliminator tournament on Friday to determine who's going to be going up against the Young Bucks in a steel cage at All Out. I think that's going to be a fantastic match, especially after what we saw at the end, because the Young Bucks were watching the match from the ramp and decided to try to instigate a little friction between Jurassic Express and the Lucha Brothers before their match on Friday. But the tables got turned. The four guys laid out all of the elite, and it's setting up to be a really good match between these four guys on Friday. I'm looking forward to that one a lot.
I am definitely looking forward to that matchup. That's going to be a banker of a tag team match. I'm just really hoping that we get Lucha Bros, Young Bucks AEW title, All Out. That's what I want to see, and I want to see the Lucha Bros get the titles because they earned those. They deserve. They earned those titles, man. And every time I've seen the Lucha Bros go up against the Young Bucks, it's a ride. Let's just put it like that. It is a ride. So I'm hoping we get that for the final. I won't be mad if it's Jungle Express, but
no, Steven Chambers is the one putting it out there right now, saying that we might get Andrade interfering, even though Andrade does have a match with Pac coming up at All Out. He has been, kind of trying to, bring those boys along to his side. So we might see some Pac, we might see some Andrade when it comes to that tag match. So if Steven Chambers is to be believed, there might be some shenanigans, and Jurassic Express might get the win over the Lucha Bros, which will hurt so bad because I want to see that match, just like you said. Because every single time the Young Bucks and the Lucha Brothers are in the ring together, no matter the stipulation, whether it's ladders, a normal match, or a steel cage, they bring it. They bring it in some of the most amazing spots that will leave you just in awe of why they put their bodies in this position, especially Nick Jackson and Rey Fenix. So I really, really want to see it. But who knows? Maybe even Jungle Boy might be able to take that spot of a Rey Fenix and be able to deliver those high spots with Nick Jackson. So I think either way it's going to be great. But, man, I just, we had that soft spot because those are our boys, man. We got to speak to them. We got to interview them. We love the Lucha Brothers. So I really want to see them hold those titles. I hope they get the win, but I wouldn't be mad either way.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, man. We also saw the return of one Jamie Hayter tonight, being accompanied with Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and Rebel, going up against Red Velvet. And today the return to back from or straight out of your mama's kitchen. So they went ahead.
Yeah, they went back and brought it back. Other than Miami,
they went ahead and brought it back. Jamie Hayter went ahead and got the win, and then they went ahead and attacked Red Velvet after the match, with Chris Statlander making the save, kind of continuing that little storyline that she's got with Britt Baker, since she is the women's #1 contender. Then we also, as you mentioned a little bit earlier, there seems to be a little bit of turmoil with the Dark Order backstage. We saw a segment. Now, Bray Wyatt, Wyndham Rotunda, has been highly speculated that he is AEW bound. Could he be the new leader of the Dark Order, or do you see him doing his own thing if he does indeed show up at AEW? Because right now, I don't even know what's going on with the Dark Order. They're not happy. They're not together. There seems like they're breaking up. What do you think? What do they need to restore order?
I think you need a big name, and if you're not going to have Hangman Adam Page officially join the Dark Order, then it needs to be somebody believable. And I think the only person that it feels that it is right to hold that title as leader of Dark Order in the place of Brody Lee is Wyndham Rotunda. Like, I feel anybody else is just it doesn't feel right. But knowing the relationship between Brody and Wyndham, to me, it feels right. And I think this is the perfect thing that they would need to really get that edge back, because we've seen on Being the Elite,
agreed.
over. And you even talked about, like, you're not even over on them anymore because they feel so soft compared to how, they were, heels when they first really debuted. And they really kind of took that face side once they went on Being the Elite, especially after the passing of Brody Lee. So if there's one person that can get them back to, getting that edge, and it feels right to give him the reins, it's going to be Bray Wyatt. So.
I agree with that. I think that's a good assessment. And I think that Wyndham, if he comes with a really good character that can be the leader, we've seen him be the leader of the Wyatt family in WWE. I think if he can bring some of that leadership mystique into the Dark Order can be a force to be reckoned with and actually be taken seriously, because that's how they started. They started out of being kind of like this evil faction, and just almost
like a cult,
like a cult-like faction. Yeah. And who does cult better than Bray Wyatt, than Wyndham Rotunda? I think that would be a hit out of the park if he does end up doing that, showing in AEW and becoming the leader of the Dark Order. But I wouldn't mind if he does something solo either, because you can't just depend on a former WWE guy to come and save your group. It happened with Brody. They got over. Unfortunately, rest in peace, Brody passed away. Where are they now? They rode the wave for a while, but now where are they? They're breaking up. They're having arguments beyond themselves. I don't know, man. I just either put someone or inject someone that's going to really put that group on the map, or just disband them all.
Yeah. And we got quite a few people here agreeing with us in the chat. Even Steven Chambers is bringing up the idea of even Malachi Black. What if Malachi Black became a possible leader of the Dark Order? His persona makes sense, but it just feels like the history between Brody Lee and Bray Wyatt makes the most sense. But yeah, like Nick and Y agreeing with us. Yeah, so it seems like everybody's pretty much along the same lines as us with one Wyndham Rotunda. But yeah, hopefully he does show up in AEW, because we're already jumping that bridge, because we already have Bryan Danielson already coming in and CM Punk. But hopefully we do get a trifecta and get Bray Wyatt over here as well. But who knows? Who knows what's gonna happen? Yeah, Chris Gomez. Do you think we have too many factions in AEW? As the new viewers, a bit confusing. Imagine if they bring another Cult of Wyndham and that just add another one on top of the Factory and Jungle Express and Varsity Blondes and Lucha Brother Death Triangle and the Elite and the Dark Order.
So much.
Yeah, no, there's never enough factions here. But one potential group of guys that could make a faction, an interesting faction. Imagine Jon Moxley, Eddie Kingston, and Darby Allin if they decided to be a faction.
My God, that's like the worst crew, the weirdest, and most eclectic group you could ever put together. I mean, wow. Unbelievable.
Of course, they did have a trios match, which you guys also mentioned in the comments that wouldn't be surprised if we have a trios championship because they starting to sprinkle a lot more trios matches everywhere when it comes to these shows on AEW. But they got the win over the Wingmen, which is Cesar Bononi, Ryan Nemeth, and JD Drake with Pretty Peter Avalon on the outside. Come on, the Wingmen are not going to beat Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston and Darby Allin. That wasn't going to happen. But this whole thing was to set up Daniel Garcia attacking Darby Allin after the match with Sting scaring him off. So there's still some bad blood between Daniel Garcia and Darby Allin. But guess what? You do have one Phil Brooks that has a match with that Darby Allin coming up and All Out. So I'm sure there's going to be a whole lot of shenanigans coming along with 2.0 and Daniel Garcia and CM Punk and Darby Allin. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a no DQ or no contest, and they winds up being a tag team match where we have CM Punk, Darby Allin, and Sting going up against Daniel Garcia and 2.0. Don't be surprised if that happens coming up soon.
We got TJ Santiago here watching us on Facebook, putting in the comment section. You guys are the best at what you do on here. Thank you for interacting with us. You're very welcome, TJ. We will appreciate you joining us and watching the show tonight. Just make sure you're sharing and make sure you're sharing and make sure you're sharing. That's all you got to do. And if you're not watching on Facebook and you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, smash the notification bell. That way you never, ever miss all the cool stuff that we drop on a daily basis. All right, what else we got here on AEW? We had the Gun Club. I saw Billy Gunn had a match here against the Factory, QT Marshall. Another trios match here tonight, huh?
Yep. Yeah, that's right. And the Gun Club, Billy and his two boys getting it done. Thanks with a little help from one Paul White, who was on commentary, made his presence known that distracted QT Marshall, which allowed the Gun Club to get a win. So, again, we got more trios action. We still got this feud going on between QT Marshall and Paul White, which they're going to have their match at All Out as well. So, continue to build that massive card that looks like we're going to be getting in September in Chicago.
Let's talk about this main event, though. Malachi Black
versus that body?
Brock Anderson.
Yeah.
Even the guys on commentary were like, what is he thinking? Does he know what he's doing? Man, that was a massacre. That was just really bad. I mean, Malachi could have finished that off a lot quicker, and I just feel like he just took pity on him and just finished him off at the time when he felt like he wanted to finish him off. You know what I'm saying?
When have you ever seen somebody land their finishing move, wait for like 20 seconds, spin, and still get the win? Like, that's how confident he was in himself, just laying out poor little.
That's how much he waited, 20 seconds, right? That's how long he waited. He's just like staring.
There, looked at Arn, looked at everyone, and then like went in for the pin real quick, and then got back up. Like, it wasn't even fair. Like, we knew the second it happened, and I looked, it was like less than 10 minutes after going to the show. I'm like, oh, poor Brock. He's just about to get wrecked by Malachi, which of course happened. And Stephen Chambers, great entrance. So it's, instead of having the whole coffin thing and being risen up like he did in NXT and WWE, he did his patented crisscross applesauce, also, a la CM Punk pipe bomb as his entrance. And again, he looks cool. He had the face paint to still kind of sell like the whole eyeball damage that he's had for a long time. But man, afterwards, old man Arn comes in to save his baby boy. He blocks the first black mass, which I was stunned. Like, okay, Arn. And then he gets kicked in the nuts and then gets hit with the black mass and laid out anyway. And then is when Lee Johnson comes out to make the save. So just a little bit too late there, Big Shotty. So don't be surprised if we get Big Shot Lee Johnson versus Malachi Black next Wednesday on Dynamite.
Yeah, he's just gonna take care of the entire Nightmare family and just completely obliterate every single one of them, one by one. So that's exactly what he's going to do.
But Jose,
yo,
I was wondering about one person who we haven't seen on TV or in a match in a a while. He did have a video promo, and that's yours and mine.
Yes,
TNT champion, the Redeemer,
God's favorite champion.
Calling out the Mad King himself. So, I love this new persona of him, and just like the original sinner of the person that getting into AEW through who he knows, and that's Eddie Kingston. And he calls out Eddie Kingston. We're excited to see this. Miro for the TNT
I'm excited to see this. No lie, I am very excited to see this. Kingston, really old school style type of wrestler. When it comes into there, he can tell a great story, and I think that this is going to be some stiff competition for Miro. But Miro's still going to obliterate him. Miro's still going to put him in his place. Miro's still going to put everyone on the AEW roster on notice that he is the Redeemer, that he is God's favorite champion, and that you shall put respect on Miro's name.
That's right. And his wife.
Can I get an amen? Can I get an amen on that?
Amen, Jose. And his wife will continue to love him because he is champion. His very hot and flexible wife will love him because he is still champion.
Oh my God. Gotta absolutely love Miro. All right, guys, go ahead and score your AEW Dynamite rate for the week. 1 through 10. Rico, what do you got?
Oh man, that was a really solid episode between the matches that we had, even though the 6-man tag match between Gun Club and the Factory was again Paul White versus QT Marshall. Continue to push that on. It wasn't really necessary, but having a match like Varsity Blondes versus Lucha Bros, Chris Jericho, which by the way, Chris Jericho is going to have his one final fight against MJF at All Out, where, like you said, if he loses, he's going to be back on commentary only, so give some stakes there. And we got to see CM Punk, so I'm going to give it a solid 8.
Yeah, man, I think an 8 is justified. Without the CM Punk bit, I think it probably would have been closer to a 7. But the CM Punk and him dropping the tease for Bryan Danielson, I thought that was really good. The opening match was really good, and the closing match was also really good. But overall, man, yeah, I think an 8 is fair. I think 8 is fair for AEW tonight.
We did have a question earlier on. I forgot to ask you. Do you think we are going to see the in-ring return of one April Mendez, a.k.a. April Brooks, a.k.a. AJ Lee?
Man, I don't know. He shouted her out tonight. He shouted her out tonight. I don't know. Never say never. It's the wrestling business, right? Who would have thought, that we would have 2 major wrestling companies and CM Punk returning to wrestling. So anything can happen. Chris Gomez giving it a 6.5, being a little bit more crucial on there. Sean Smith, wonder if the big slow Paul White is watching Gladiator right now. Nick in New York saying 7 for AEW Dynamite. Let's see here. Dale Munson on Facebook giving it an 8. And Stephen Chambers giving it a 7.5.
The same with James Foley over here, 7.5.
And Anthony Bruno giving it a 9 out of 10. So, guys, go ahead and keep your scores coming in as we continue tonight's show. We're going to jump into NXT for this week, coming off the heels of NXT TakeOver 36 this past Sunday, where we saw Samoa Joe become the first and only 3-time NXT champion. We had a great conversation with him during the tryouts last week in Las Vegas, and now he is the man in the black and gold brand, and now he has a huge target on his back, don't he, Rico?
That was so great. Like, again, all those potential dream matches that we talked about when he was the authority figure, the muscle, the enforcer for one GM, William Regal. And automatically we had Pete Dunne, come out to challenge him. But, man, it's just all these potential matches that we could possibly get. Because even, Kyle O'Reilly came out, even though he got attacked by Duke Hudson. Like, there was so many like potential matchups that we could have. Even Ciampa, who came out also when Rich Holland got involved, like all these guys, Rich Holland versus Samoa Joe could be a good match. Like there's so many potential good matches. All these storylines intertwined, which is why I love NXT and how they keep these storylines going. It just makes me excited for this reign of this Samoa Joe. And I know the rumors and speculation is going forward within a couple weeks. The whole brand relaunch of NXT is going to be focused about the newer guys. It's going to be about big guys, tall guys, as opposed to indie wrestlers. But you still have these solid vets that are going to be holding that bar, and that's going to be your Samoa Joe. That's going to be your Tommaso Ciampa, your Johnny Gargano. So those guys aren't gone yet. So don't go past them just yet because we have all these potential matches to get. But I'm really excited to see this reign of Samoa Joe.
I agree. I think this is going to be good. And I think this is intentional, especially with the revamp of NXT that we're getting in several weeks. That's going to be coming up, which is why we have
LA Night,
these next set of tapings going down here at the CWC, because they are doing a complete revamp of NXT. Yeah. And I think the guy to do that with would be Samoa Joe, and bringing up this younger set of talent that's coming up. You know, your Kyle O'Reillys, your Odyssey Jones, who, by the way, just won the NXT. Well, he didn't win. He came up runner-up. But, like, guys like that, you know, those guys are going to want to have a spotlight and a rub from Samoa Joe because he is a veteran in the ring. Not only that, but he is also working backstage as part of the talent developmental program for NXT. So there's a lot at hand that is being handled with NXT right now. And Samoa Joe is the right person to kind of steer it in this right way and build up those stars of tomorrow, if you may say.
Oh, absolutely. And a couple of guys like these next stars, even though the beginning segment wasn't really so much about newer stars. It was the older stars. And it looks like we have officially retired one of the belts in NXT for a very short-lived reign. Thank you so much, $1 Million Championship. It looks like you are no more, as one Cameron Grimes handed the belt back off to one Ted DiBiase.
So that's
it. He drove off. So unfortunately, that belt is going to the moon, Jose, and it's not coming back to NXT.
Yeah, it's going back to the corporate headquarters at the at the warehouse where they keep all the memorabilia in under a lock. Funny story. You were with me when we were in Tampa. When we talked to him off camera, when he gave us the story of how this belt kind of came all to be, and Ted DiBiase is telling us the story about one time where the belt went missing, and they were trying to track him down left and right, and calling him, and I think he was flying or something like that, and he had like 48 or 50 missed calls, and then they're trying to like, do you have the belt? He's like, no, I turned it in yesterday. So they actually ended up like losing that belt a long time ago. This is years and years ago. Turns out that it was hidden in somewhere in the warehouse, and they ended up finding it later on. But yeah, crazy story. So does that mean that the NXT brand is not going to have the $1 Million Championship anymore? I mean, is that it? Because how are you just going to hold that plastic one, right?
Yeah, that's why we had to have it. Was just for this storyline. So I was hoping it was going to be like a third tier belt, kind of, because we already have the NXT Championship, the North American Championship. That could have been like the 24/7 title, I guess, of NXT. But that is to be no more. But good news is, though, even though he did lose in his match, we did have LA Knight, getting involved in that title picture too. So, like, there's all these great, talented guys that are in the hunt for Samoa Joe's NXT title. So I'm here for it, man. And one of those guys that's could rightfully be in the hunt is one Rich Holland, who opened up had the first match of the night, defeating Timothy Thatcher by pinfall. And we got to see the return of our boy, Marty Stone, a.k.a. Danny Burch. He is back. He's 100%. He's cleared. So he has returned to the rest of the Kings of NXT as they continue to lay the beat down on Timothy Thatcher with, of course, Tommaso Ciampa trying to come out and help. Sorry, it wasn't enough. But, man.
What's the name of this stable, Rico?
We should just keep it at Kings of NXT. Like Pat McAfee, who, by the way, you reported on earlier today.
Yeah.
He got
COVID. He got that vid. He got the Delta.
But he can't give that name to the rest of the guys because
I don't know.
The roughest guys.
Yeah, sure. But here's the thing. So they've been going. No, but that's his thing, right? But here's the thing with Pete Dunne. He's been referencing to himself as the meanest guy in NXT. So there you go, the mean guys.
The Mean Street Posse of NXT. Is that what we're trying to bring back?
Instead of the mean girls, the mean guys. Mean guys.
They're gonna come back with sweater vests and beat everybody up. But yeah, they've been showing
straight out of Greenwich, Connecticut.
Exactly. But these guys have been showing out and they're staking the claim onto this show. So again, you like factions? You like the faction on the AEW? We got some factions here on NXT.
They got some factions on NXT. All right, man. So the most captivating storyline on the Black and Gold brand, Index. Index is the most captivating storyline, and I don't care what any of you say. Y'all can judge me. I'm totally okay with it because we have a wedding, Rico. We have a wedding date. Can you believe we have a wedding date?
Bro, and it's so...
Are you
right
excited
there.
about this?
Absolutely. It's a lot sooner than I thought it was going to be. We have to put on our calendars, and if you haven't already, you guys have to do it too. Because on September 14th, we are all invited to the wedding of Index. So you got to stay tuned to that episode.
I just want to see what this bachelor party for Dexter Lumis is going to be. Is it going to be rowdy or is it going to be creepy? What do you think?
Oh, it's going to be a mixture of both. And, you know, throughout the entire thing, just like Stephen Chambers is saying, you know, it's going to be Johnny Gargano somehow trying to interfere and get involved with the wedding. Just like when we had, like, you know, Kane and Lita, we've had Daniel Bryan and AJ Lee. We've had all these attempted weddings in WWE. I can only imagine what they're thinking about doing for NXT. And especially with these two individuals of Indy Hartwell, and Dexter Lumis. Who knows what they're going to come up with? Who knows who would be Dexter Lumis' best man? Because at least Indy can kind of get away with, like, if not Candice, because if you guys didn't know, she is pregnant. So I'm sure they don't want her involved too much. Probably Beth Phoenix might be her maid of honor, just because Beth Phoenix is the one that's already excited. Like, oh, we got to plan this. We got to do this. Oh my God, there's so much time. We don't have that much time, and I got to plan all this stuff for the wedding. So who would be Dexter Lumis's?
It's so man? Stupid that it's so good. That's how bad. It's like it's so bad it's great.
Like, who doesn't talk? Like, who could be creepy enough to be Dexter Lumis's best man?
Yeah, you know, Austin Theory can fill that role if he just makes a quick comeback if he comes home for the wedding, right? Like Austin Theory can be his best man. Austin Theory doesn't have any issues with Dexter Lumis. I mean, he only put him to sleep once, but last time we knew, he was like, just let them be together. Like,
he thought they were best friends. He thought that him being kidnapped was a good thing. So that's actually a great thing. Other worst case scenario, I guess, you could have like the boogeyman. Like,
here's a good one. Nishad Jiwa is saying best man for Dexter Lumis, Gangrel. Hey, listen, they brought back Ted DiBiase. They could bring back Gangrel.
They brought back the Bloodbath.
the Brood Bath, and we got Edge at the entrances with the Brood at SummerSlam. So, you know what? I'm okay with that. I'm okay with Dexter Lumis having Gangrel as his best man. Victor Ness is saying Grimes, and Molly Warnick is saying Kane. So, all sorts of, you know what? There's no shortage of characters in the WWE, Rico.
Yeah. Who knows? Who knows who can they potentially bring back to have Dexter Lumis be Dexter?
That's definitely the most captivating story right now in NXT. We did have Kaylee Ray, who showed up from NXT UK on Sunday to make her intentions known against Raquel Gonzalez, who retained her title against her former best friend Dakota Kai on Sunday. But she had a matchup here on Tuesday against Valentina Feroz. She got a win over pinfall. Then we had another women's tag team matchup, Dolan and Jane. Actually, no, that was Mandy Rose. I will approach them later on backstage.
Yeah, because before Kaylee Ray's match, we did have a tag team match of our girls, Team Ninja, who we affectionately call Team Ninja, Casey Catanzaro and Kim Carter getting the win over Gigi Dolan and JC Jane, which led up to Mandy Rose approaching them. So, you want another faction? Here's another faction. Probably got a female faction led by Mandy Rose. Yeah, Chucky. Now that Chucky has its own TV
he's gonna have his own show on USA. Might as well do cross promotion in there, right? He can be the one to marry them,
or the ring bearer. You know, it's usually like a young child. There you go. Have Chucky bring out the rings. But yeah, so great job for Casey and Caden. So they even went to commentary after the match, really staking their claim for a shot as Zoe Starks and Io Shirai's women's tag team championship. So good for them for getting the win there. But of course, it's still going to be interesting to see what happens between Gigi Dolan and JC Jane aligning themselves with Mandy Rose. We still haven't heard really what her purpose is back in NXT, but I'm sure we'll find out shortly. But when it came to Angelica Gonzalez, the same thing with the men's. There's a lot of stakes for the women's title because, just like you said, Dakota Kai still wants a shot. Kaylee Ray wants a shot. And Frankie Monet throwing her name in the ring there, too.
I cannot wait to see that match. That match is going to be fire right there. What Frankie Monet and Raquel Gonzalez, La Buena Loca versus the Big Mommy Cool? Bro, yes. Sign me up for that. I can't wait to see if they actually pull the trigger on that, because actually that's a compelling story there, because now that you got Raquel as a face, right? Mm-hmm. She's trying to be not only the women's champion, but kind of like be the tough one, taking down anybody that's in her way. But then you got a seasoned veteran with Frankie Monet, and then you got Robert Stone in the corner and Jessica Maya. So I think this could work. Let's just see if it works. I just hope they do it right. You know what I'm saying?
And they should. They have all the talent there to make all of these storylines and all these great matches happen. So hopefully they will follow through on them. Which just a quick shout out to Craig Backlund. So imagine having Chucky and Lily as their ring bearer and flower girls for the wedding of Dexter Lumis and Indy Hartwell. So you're incorporating the dolls here at the wedding, which would be fantastic. But of course, we continue to build these storylines. We had Kyle O'Reilly get attacked by Duke Hudson, so we have that storyline brewing here.
That looks like that could be a really good feud, right, between those two. I haven't seen any that much aggression from Duke. I've always seen him being really cocky and just kind of, just being full of himself. But like what he did with Kyle O'Reilly, I think these two, if they go at it, I think that could be really good. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it could be. It's just going to be how far they want to push Kyle. Do they really want to make him that top babyface? And you're going to do that at the expense of Duke Hudson. Like we even talked about in the middle of this breakout tournament. And I felt that regardless of who won, the winner of Carmelo Hayes and Duke Hudson, that was going to be the winner of the breakout tournament. So you knew regardless that they had high hopes for both of these guys. So hopefully, it's going to really determine if they're going to push more on Kyle being the babyface, or do they want to establish these guys like Duke Hudson to be big players when it comes to these top guys like Kyle O'Reilly. So that's not kind of the good rub of having like the whole, Brock beating Undertaker. Whoever would beat Brock would get that nice rub. Maybe that's what they're trying to do with Duke Hudson. So Kyle got the big win over Adam Cole, basically sending him off into AEW, which is another person we didn't even talk about. But his match potentially was on Sunday. His contract ends Friday. So we'll see what happens with Adam Cole. But do they want to establish Duke Hudson to be that next level guy with these other guys like a Kyle O'Reilly coming off of that win over Adam Cole? So we'll see. But the good thing is, though, we're seeing a lot of faith in these guys, especially with the two guys in the breakout tournament finals. And that was Carmelo Hayes and Odyssey Jones. And man, these two guys did not disappoint with the whole little guy versus big guy storyline. Like they told a really fantastic story.
And that was a perfect finish too. And that was a very believable finish because the way the entire match went, with Odyssey Jones mostly dominating Carmelo throughout the match, Carmelo made Odyssey Jones look like $1 million and vice versa. I thought this match was absolutely great for NXT and in the final, and it should have been. And the finish, just with that crucifix, because of that little mistake that Odyssey Jones did of not hooking the leg, boom, got the crucifix, the quick 1, 2, 3. Carmelo Hayes now has a championship opportunity of his choosing in NXT. What did you think of that finish? I thought it was good.
When Carmelo Hayes calls his shot, he shoots and scores. And he did it here against Odyssey Jones. And you broke it down perfectly. Just that one little mistake with that big guy Even when he had all his weight, he didn't sink in the pin. He had his arm up trying to count the pinfall and wound up getting pinned by it. So now my question to you, though, is, Jose, who is he going to challenge? Who do you think he's going to challenge? Because you do have Samoa Joe for the NXT Championship. You do have the North American champion in one Isaiah Scott. And he's at 210, so he's only 5 pounds away from potentially challenging the NXT Cruiserweight champion in Kushida. Who would you choose if you were Carmelo Hayes?
I mean, Carmelo Hayes has been hanging with the biggest of them in there, with the most technical in there. He's been putting in that work, right? I think a matchup between him and Isaiah Scott is a perfect fit. I think they can put on a really great match. I don't know if I put Carmelo Hayes over, but it was definitely be entertaining to watch.
Oh, I completely agree. Yeah, I think that's like the money matchup out of everybody else, because Samoa Joe already has this big line already ahead of him of challengers. And then we already saw Kushida versus Carmelo Hayes, though this would be a nice way for him to get the win back over Kushida and win the NXT Cruiserweight Championship from him. But yeah, I would like to see that match against him and Isaiah Scott, who we'll talk about in a little bit. But speaking of unexpected wins, we had Zion Quinn beat Boa. Where did that come from?
I had no idea. I think I was looking at my phone for like half a second while the intro was going. Then I heard the bell, and then all of a sudden I heard that the bell was over. Yeah. So it was a very shocking thing for me to see. The Zion Quinn guy get a win over Boa, especially since they've been pushing Tian Shaw and Boa for all these months. We've been getting all these vignettes behind them. I don't know how I feel about it. We'd have to see another matchup and see how it goes, because it was over that quick.
Yeah, I don't think Mei Ying is too happy or too pleased with the performance of Boa.
Smart, though. Zion's smart. He didn't take the ramp up. He took the other way out. So avoiding Mei Ying. That's a smart kid.
Nope. Going the other way.
That's a smart kid. That's a smart kid, bro.
So he's got a head on his shoulders.
Man, let's talk about this main event, this 6-man tag match. Legado del Fantasma versus Hit Row. Fantasma getting the win. Let's go. And evening the odds against Hit Row with one Elektra Lopez, FKA, formerly known as Carissa Rivera. Oh, my God. This is perfect. This is something I've been wanting that I didn't know that I wanted, and I got it last night. I popped for that. If you guys, listen, not a lot of people are going to know Carissa Rivera or Elektra Lopez. Yeah. But for us, she's a Puerto Rican luchadora, wrestler who's been on the map here in Florida for quite some time, and has been wrestling all over the world. So I'm very happy to see that she is now aligned with Legado del Fantasma, with Santos Escobar, Joaquin, and Raul Mendoza. Man, I think this is great.
I was surprised when the match happened between Kaylee Ray and Valentina Ferreros. My first question is, why not Elektra? Like, they're not using Elektra for anything. Why couldn't you have her?
You know why?
Why you bring her? Why you bringing this Brazilian over when we got this, Puerto Rican woman that can that's been on NXT before, and that when she came out wearing the blaze, I'm like, wait a minute, and she was just standing there chilling, and next thing you know, she has the metal pipe and just swings on B-Fab, which made the most sense in the world, because B-Fab got involved in this match, pushing Santos Escobar into the corner, into like the turnbuckle, basically, causing him to hit the post, and then she's right there. So this really does even the odds. So now we have a legit 4-on-4 feud happening between Legado.
Now we just need to see B-Fab wrestle.
We're finally going to hopefully see B-Fab in the ring, because she looks in great shape, but can she hold her own in the ring against somebody else, especially somebody as talented as Elektra? We'll see, but this is a nice little additional twist when it comes in to this feud. And the look on Isaiah Scott's face when he took the pinfall loss, and he's just sitting there like, wait, what just happened? And then, of course, you see up the ramp, you see Elektra Lopez joining Legado Fantasma. It's all about familia, man. It's familia versus Hit Row.
La familia. This was actually the smartest thing they could have done with Legado, adding in Elektra Lopez. I think this is great. Way to utilize her, and hopefully really bring her up and make her a serious contender later on in the women's division, because she can go. Yeah. We know she can go. We've seen her. We know what she's capable of. And I think this is a great fit to soak up some of that wisdom from Santos Escobar, because Santos, he is a veteran in the ring. He's been doing this for a long time. Mm-hmm. So, I think this is a good pairing. I think this is really good for her. Overall, though, what did you think of NXT last night? 1 out of 10. I'm going to go first since you went first the last time. I'm going to go 7. I'm going to go 7. Yep. For after a takeover show, I would think it would be a little bit more hop to it. I felt like it kind of felt flat on its face with not opening up with Samoa Joe when you should have opened up with Samoa Joe, instead of opening up with $1 million championship promo. You really should have capitalized on Samoa Joe. And I felt that the NXT breakout match should have been the main event, as opposed to the 6-man tag. So I think some reshuffling of the matches probably would have worked. But overall, I think about a 7.
You are spot on with exactly everything I was going to say. Everything you said was completely right, because it didn't feel like the show after a takeover. Like, it felt like we got a lot of those the surprises at the takeover, like a Kaylee Ray showing up after Raquel Gonzalez won. We did have some good banter though between Johnny Gargano and LA Knight, because Johnny was trying to talk to William Regal, trying to talk him out of having this wedding on NXT. William Regal was steadfast, like, nope, they found their love here on NXT, so it's only right that we have the wedding here. And of course, LA Knight gets involved and talks about this whole thing with Samoa Joe, gets mad, and so they both get shushed out. So I like how they turned that into a reason for them to have a match. And the rumors, of course, is they want to rebuild Johnny Gargano to be the next top heel of NXT, and it's going to start with him against LA Knight, and then him basically ruining the wedding that's going to be happening soon. So they start putting a lot of pieces in place, but it didn't feel the end of a takeover. It felt like just a regular NXT show. And I think if they would have reshuffled some of the things, like you said, open up the show with, again, here's Samoa Joe, first ever 3-time NXT champion. Here are all these top guys that all had a particular spot with Samoa Joe to set up a potential match, a great match with his Pete Dunne, Johnny Gargano, Kyle O'Reilly, LA Knight, now that he doesn't have the $1 million championship. Like, you could have set that up at the beginning of the show, and it would have been really great storytelling from there. And then, end it with the NXT breakout tournament. If you want to make it feel like these guys are that important, it should be in that spot. Mm-hmm. Like, you didn't do it with Jordan Miles. Like, you should have done it here with Carmelo Hayes. Because either way, we know that NXT or WWE love Odyssey Jones. He's already been doing, dark matches for Raw and SmackDown. You know that they love Carmelo Hayes because they put him against Kushida and Adam Cole in his first 2 matches of NXT. So regardless, you have high hopes for him. So have that be the main focal point of this episode. If you're not going to focus on the backlash or the fallout of TakeOver 36, make it about them. Make it about these next storylines.
Exactly.
They did. They kind of switched some things around. So because of that, I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to give it a 7.
Yeah, I think that's right. And a lot of the viewers watching tonight agree with us. They were putting 7.5, 6.5s. So everybody kind of has that same consensus. I think everyone kind of felt the same way, right? So we'll see how things pick up in the next few weeks, because the next few episodes are taped. The next live one won't be, I believe, until September 15th, which is about 3 or 4 weeks away. So we'll find out. We'll find out in about a month, a new revamped version of NXT. So we'll see.
Sure.
All right. And so tomorrow we got Weekends of Wrestling. That's live on our channel on YouTube and on Facebook. So make sure you check us out tomorrow at 8 p.m. live on Facebook and on YouTube. We're going to be covering everything that went down in the week, the latest in wrestling news, and everything you need to know about the world of wrestling. So make sure you tune in tomorrow here on Facebook and on YouTube. As always, I am live every single afternoon here on Sportskeeda Wrestling with the top story around 6 in the afternoon Eastern Standard Time, bringing you the hottest trending stories in the world of professional wrestling and breaking news. That's every afternoon here in the Sportskeeda Wrestling channel. We also got tons of exclusive content right now available in our YouTube. Tons of exclusive interviews with Drew McIntyre, Nikki ASH, Jinder Mahal, Damian Priest, Sheamus. Tons of cool stuff that we got from SummerSlam weekend. If you haven't checked it out, go ahead and head to our YouTube. We're only just a couple of, I think it was like maybe 80 away from 20,000 subscribers. Help us out. Get us there. Smash that notification bell so that way you never, ever miss a post. Okay, guys? Very important. And also, if you're watching on Facebook, make sure you're sharing. Sharing is caring. And if you're watching us on demand, hit the like button and share in your favorite wrestling group. All right, Rico, anything else you want to add in before we head out?
No, we did have some questions, but you guys need to tune in tomorrow to Rico's Wrestling if you want to ask us about how we feel about Karrion Kross's new mask.
We'll talk about that.
But yeah, so it looks like potentially we could be getting the debut of one. I think he's going by like Buddy Martin now or something like that.
Matthews.
Buddy Matthews, there you go. Potentially debuting on Impact tomorrow, and maybe one Bronathan Stromanzini also debuting on Impact. So keep an eye on that just in case.
We're going to have to keep an eye out. All right, guys. All right. Well, as always, guys, remember, there's a lot of stuff going in wrestling right now. There's a lot of tribalism. AEW, WWE, Impact, New Japan. You know what? Just enjoy it. Enjoy it. Remember, when you were watching wrestling, Rico, tell them.
Enjoy wrestling.